Hello, it's about 4 minutes after 1, so I think we're going to get started. We always get a few stragglers coming in. So welcome to this month's edition of Great Leadership Teams webinar series. This is an interesting topic that's gotten quite a bit of interest here. Best practices for strengthening one-on-ones. My name is Jack McGinnis. I'm managing partner at Relationship Impact. We're a consulting firm exclusively focused on helping executive and leadership teams build the right structural and relational foundations so that they can be forces of acceleration for their organizations. Just a couple words on logistics. Please, during the course of the webinar, just use the chat feature and ask me any questions you have during the don't be afraid to interrupt, and I'll try to reach out or respond as quickly as I can. Secondly, as you'll find in the slides, there's a lot of content in here. There's probably too many words per slide, but I do that so when I send you the links, you can use this for yourself or for your own teams. So let's get started. Best practices for strengthening one-on-ones. I probably should have said something in my communication to everyone, but the focus of this is really at the executive leadership team level. However, many of the principles that we talk about will be focused, will be relevant to, the manager, supervisor level as well. But just wanted to make that caveat. Really, the focus is on one-on-ones at the executive team level. The other thing that's really important is that these are not performance review conversations. This is really focused on one-on-one type check-ins with your leaders. And so that's sort of the focus or the backdrop here. So let's talk a little bit about why, why one-on-ones. What's some of the research that I found to kind of make my point on why I think that CEO discussions with their executive team leaders are really important. I believe, and research suggests, that those leaders who have one-on-one discussions regular, it could be monthly, it could be more regular than that, those leaders that have discussions with their CEOs are more likely for the team to be on track in terms of expectations. So the impact on the executive team or the leadership team is pretty important. And just a couple anecdotes I've referred in many of my other webinars to Project's Oxygen study at Google. But they've found that higher scoring managers in their surveys are more likely to have frequent one-on-one meetings with their direct reports. And that goes for executives as well. In the Gallup survey of the State of the American Manager consistently suggests that employees who have regular one-on-ones are much more likely to be engaged. And that goes for the executive team as well. There's no question about it. So there's the research, and the research to me makes logical sense for a few reasons. The more you spend time connecting productively with your CEO or for CEOs with their direct reports, the more trust is built up over time. There is likely to be some give and take. There's likely to be some vulnerabilities showed or demonstrated among those relationships, and that has a tendency to, over time, build some strong trust. I think the other thing is that, like any habit, like dieting or exercise routines, having a routine is pretty important. Sticking with that routine is pretty important. Doesn't mean you have to do it every week or even bi-weekly. Our suggestion is typically a monthly check-in with your direct reports can be quite helpful. And mostly because when you get in a monthly habit like that, there's the practice and repetition. You don't lose track and have to go back and start all over again. So it's just a good habit to get into. We believe also that one-on-ones are often done at the mid-level, from what we see, and sometimes not really at the senior levels. There's not necessarily a need to have that done as one-on-ones to be done as regularly. But we believe that executive relationships are no different, and one-on-one check-ins with your direct reports can be really beneficial and help accelerate not only the relationship with the individual executive, but also with the team in general. And I'll talk a little bit more about why I think that's important in a second. So next, the challenge we see, and I see that these quotes are taken directly from some of the client situations that I've been working on over the last 6 months or so, just kind of pulled them out from my memory of some of the language I hear around why this actually goes for leadership team meetings as well as one-on-one discussions. But many executives often think, and CEOs included, think that their one-on-ones are not very productive. And here's a couple quotes that get at that. We start with good intentions, but inevitably we resort to dealing with the latest fire we have to put out. Another one I've heard quite often is that, I'd like to have productive discussions, but my CEO tends to talk most of the time. And that's obviously not as productive as it could be. From our perspective, CEOs really should be doing a lot of listening during these discussions. Another one I hear is that my direct reports are not prepared, and I have to carry the meeting. And often my point back to that is then you likely have set up the meetings with poor expectations, because if that continues to happen, then it really is back on you. The next one is I leave these discussions with little to no sense about how I'm doing or what I could be doing better. And that kind of relates back to the first one. Is oftentimes the CEO is talking too much, or they're not talking about the right stuff, or they're not talking about development issues along with the day-to-day, stuff as well. And then sometimes CEOs and direct reports to do these one-on-one discussions because it's sort of the best practice to do, and don't really focus on the best practice for how to make it work well. So they don't have to be unproductive. They sometimes are. And what I'm about to talk to you about today is how to focus them so they're more productive. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions during the course as well. I just wanted to repeat that. From our perspective, and many of the CEOs we work with, we believe that regular one-on-ones can be a powerful tool in their arsenal for building relationships with their individual leaders and helping manage expectations across their teams. They can often help to solidify strategic direction if there's a mismatch there. They can course correct on strategic direction individually if there's some challenges there. They also help executives become better teammates and leaders. And what I mean by that is mostly developmental, right? And so oftentimes we see CEOs become a referee and deal with the challenges between executive team members and be the arbiter or resolver of those kind of challenges. We see one-on-ones being an important tool for CEOs to be able to help their direct reports navigate those difficult challenges on their own, which helps foster a sense of team rather this triangulation relationship with the CEO. I hope that makes some sense to you. I see it quite a bit. Obviously one-on-ones serve as early warning for potential challenges, both at a strategic and operational level, but also at a personal level. Sometimes, like particularly if we think what's been going on over the last 4 or 5 months, there's definitely been some situations that the clients that I've been working with where some executives are struggling, young executives dealing with young kids at home, and trying to juggle that with their spouses. A whole host of issues around that. And so these tools for checking in with your leaders can be a real vehicle for not heading off, but helping your direct reports with those potential challenges. This is a quote I took from somewhere, and I wrote an article about this, and it's probably it is in the article, but I can't remember exactly where it comes from. But I thought it was pretty relevant because it really gets to the essence of why we think one-on-one discussions can be regular one-on-one discussions can be really important. One-on-ones are where you can ask strategic questions such as, are we focused on the right things? And they can also show your direct reports that you give a crap and care about them, right? And so those are important things. So it can help with strategic direction, help teams evolve and manage themselves more productively, and head off some potential personal and business challenges. So what should we believe that effective one-on-one should accomplish a few important things. First, they should clarify expectations from both parties, right? This is not a one-way discussion either way. There should be, adequate time for discussing, am I on track? And are you providing the right support that I need to be on track, right? And so discussions should be very much two-way. If CEOs are getting in your way, there should be time for an ability for a direct report to say, hey, I need more from you, or I feel like you're a bottleneck here for whatever reason. Those kind of conversations, oftentimes I find that direct reports are like, well, even executives, I can't have that conversation with my CEO. Well, from our perspective, that's a missed opportunity for a CEO if they don't let those kind of conversations happen. And I'm looking at a number of the people on the phone I have here, and most of you I would anticipate would agree with my point of view, and that expectations need to be a two-way street. Address priorities. That may sound simple, but these discussions should really be focused addressing priorities from both a business perspective and a developmental perspective. And what I mean by that is just simply, let's not talk about, how to format some PowerPoint. Let's, for example, I know that's a silly example, but I've seen it happen. Let's talk about what's most important and what's getting in the way of me as the head of sales, getting my team focused as they possibly can be, for example. And developmentally, we should know, that's why these things should be regular, right? We should know what me as the head of sales or one of your direct reports, what are my development challenges? What are my aspirations? What are my development challenges? And what are we doing together, me specifically as the direct report and you as the CEO to help me? What are the things I'm doing to make progress? Is it, behavioral? Is it that I barrel over my my team or my colleagues and I don't listen very well. And one of the things I have to do is slow down and be more patient, for example? Or is it, that I have not done the hard work I need to do to understand other parts of the business, right? And so I'm only taking a narrow point of view. And so really focusing both developmentally and business-wise, what are the most important things? And right, these meetings don't have to be an hour long. In fact, our recommendations should be 30, 45 minutes. But even during the course of those discussions, there should be, how am I doing? Great. These are some things that I think I'm off on. Yeah, you're off on those things. These are some things that I see that could help you move towards where we need you to go, both business-wise and developmentally. And hey, but these are some things I need from you, CEO, to help me get there. And then finally, demonstrate support. And these are in no particular order, but have a pulse on what's going on in the lives of your leaders. What's they're particularly during these tough times, leaders are putting a lot of weight on their shoulders. So it's really important for them to be able to have someone that's got their back as well. I know CEOs are probably saying, well, who's got my back? So, but you should be able to have these conversations collectively and two-way with your direct reports as well. So clarify expectations, address what's most important, and demonstrate support for your direct report, for each other. So what are some of these best practices I'm talking about? The first is don't wing it. And what I mean by that is a few things. First, have a rhythm, meaning have a regular time frame with which you do these, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. Have a time frame with which you do them in, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. And have a sense for what you're going to be talking about, right? What's most important? A little bit of time to shoot the breeze on how we're each doing personally. And then some focus on developmentally. How am I doing, and what can I do as a CEO to help you more? Don't put it all on your direct reports, right? Don't have them give you, and this is our opinion. I mean, it doesn't mean it's completely right, but it's what we've seen. We see a lot of CEOs that are saying, well, I want 3 bullet points of what you want to talk about on our regular one-on-ones. That could work, but if that's going to be the case, you should have your 3 bullet points as well, to really come to the table prepared with some thinking about what am I seeing with this direct report that's going well, that they have some challenges on, and what can I be doing to help them? Not bail them out, but help them. So really just come prepared is what I mean by that. And don't just expect it to be your direct reports. The CEO needs to come prepared as well. Stay focused on what's most important, both technically and developmentally. Don't let yourself have the discipline necessary not to let these discussions devolve into a discussion that you should have in the hallway, or that's dealing with a particular fire that you're trying to put out. They should really be focused on how we're addressing something business-wise, strategically or tactically, that is working or not working, and same thing developmentally. What we should have a path and a rhythm so that we know what development challenges an individual leader has, and how we're working towards those, and give some feedback. Again, that expectations thing is really important. There's another one here that comes up quite a bit. Be attentive, both parties. particularly now when we're on Zoom or we're on telephone calls, you know, don't be, you know, give the hour, give the half hour. Don't be on your email. Don't be on your phone. Don't be listening to other stuff. Pay attention or don't have the meeting. And next, don't substitute. And what I mean by that, by don't substitute, is simply just because of the fact that you happen to be spending a lot of time with one direct report on a particular issue. I'm working with an organization that has a sales challenge right now. So the CEO is working pretty closely with the head of sales to address the challenge. And that's great. That stuff should happen. But the developmental discussions and the step back to talk about how that direct report, the head of sales, is dealing with the particular situation in front of them shouldn't take a back seat. Those conversations that are happening in the hallway or happen in the normal course of business should not substitute for the regular cadence or rhythm of your one-on-ones. Because those are a little bit different nuance of a discussion. They're really focused on, how are things going? Are we meeting each other's expectations? And what do we need to do to make more broad progress? So in keeping with feedback I've gotten to keep my my webinars a bit shorter, that's all I got for you today. So, the key messages I want to leave you with are threefold. Things you should accomplish in your one-on-ones with your direct reports are clarifying expectations, talking about what's most important and not devolving, and demonstrating some support to each other. So I hope you enjoyed the conversation or the discussion. If you have any questions, please ask them now. As always, I have an offer to take a look and learn more and participate in a 60-minute virtual recharge work session with your leadership team, where you learn some best practices in building a team, debrief a short assessment, and identify some commitments to strengthen the team's effectiveness. Hope you enjoyed the discussion, and look forward to seeing you on September 23rd for our next discussion on how to deal with a toxic leadership team member. Until next time, take care.